Welcome back everybody to another video on how to fix and replace stuff, and in the meantime save money. Today we're gonna be replacing this thing. It's a leveling valve. It did not come with a rod for some reason. I got this kit at Peterbilt. It's a TRP brand. The part number is HV9990, and also we are gonna be setting our ride height. I got the measurements and I think I know how to do it. But first, before we do that, we're gonna have to replace this. My crank handle for my landing gear broke when I was down in Florida. So now I have to replace this first before I can start working on leveling valve and stuff. So let's get this done first. All right, so mine is 9/16 on both sides. Yours might be different. Not all of these are gonna be the same. So we're just gonna take that out, and that's it for that. Whenever you buy this crank handle, make sure you buy one that's for your trailer, because not all of them, well, they're almost the same except for this part right here. I don't know what this is called. It's turned the other way. So if you buy that one, your crank handle will be like that. You're not gonna be able to set it on in there real nicely. It'll just sit like that. So just make sure you get the correct one. All right, and there it is, just like that. Boom. All right, let's get back to this leveling valve stuff. Lakeland, Florida utility trailers. I showed the guy at service this part right here. If you see this retaining ring or whatever it's called, it's broken off right here. And I showed him, I was like, what can I do? He said, oh, that landing gear's junk. You have to buy the whole new legs. I was like, get the fuck out of here, man. All you gotta do is just push this back, weld it right there, and it'll be good as new. So that's what I'm gonna do here tomorrow at the shop to get it fixed. So my airbags are way overextended. I don't know what's going on, but usually when that happens, you're gonna hear a very loud grinding noise. It feels like your transmission wants to come out because your drive shaft goes out of line, and then it makes this terrible freaking noise. And if you keep driving like that, you're gonna have a big ass problem later on down the road. So you don't want to drive it like that. You want to fix that as soon as possible. My truck did not have any kind of grinding noise or anything, but as soon as it happened, I noticed that the ride quality was terrible, and the truck became very unstable. So yeah, you're gonna notice it when something is wrong with your truck. If you've been driving it for a long time, you're gonna notice that something is wrong with it. So I'm lucky I noticed this in time, and I'm able to fix it today. So let's go get this. All right, here's the old leveling valve, and here's the new one. They're pretty much identical, except for this arm. This one has a bend in it. It's from the factory like that, so I'm gonna use this one, but if something is wrong, I'm gonna take this one off and put it on a new one. It's being held by two nuts over here that go onto these screws, and also right there you gotta take that off, and these airlines. If you just look at your airbags like I'm looking at mine right now, you can tell that it's overextended. It should not be like that, especially the ones right there on that front axle. Yeah, should not be like that, that's for sure. Alright, so the first thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use 10 millimeter wrench and 10 millimeter socket. I'm gonna hold this one in place and then take it off. And we're gonna save that one because we need it. Let's put that over there. And now, when you move this one up and down, the airbags will inflate or deflate whenever it goes down. Alright, so whenever I'm working around airlines or something, and I want to make sure that I put everything back the way it's supposed to be put back, I get some of this tape and I put it around each airline like that. I put the tape around each airline and then I write the numbers down. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that way whenever I take them off, I'm gonna know where they go. But also what I do is I snap a picture of it. So that way for sure I know where each airline is going back. I know some people do it differently and some people do this every day, and this may be funny to them, but I don't really care. That's how I do it. I've done it for years and it works for me. So now we're gonna just disconnect these airlines, which is gonna be easier said than done. So you can push it in and pull on it. Yeah, push. And then pull on it. So if you're having a problem with one of them, it doesn't want to go in. Right here there's this plastic piece you gotta push in before you pull the airline out. I usually use a wrench like this. Push it in. And then, come on, motherfucker. Fucking piece of shit. There it is. Yeah, that worked. Looks like I just needed to put my purse down and do it. But so now we're gonna go ahead and take this leveling valve off. And for this over here, these two nuts, we're gonna use number 11. That's what is on mine. Yours might be different. We're gonna save these. And just like that, we're gonna take it out. And it looks like the way that you adjust this leveling valve is you move it like that. You move the whole thing. Some of them adjust with the rod, on the rod, or on this arm right here. But it looks like Peterbilt is doing it this way. All right, so here's the old one. Here's the new one. And this is another thing that came with this kit. Looks like this is a plug to plug up the airline if you need to. This right here is your dump. It goes right here, so we're not gonna take this one off. We don't need to reuse it. We have a brand new one. And also it came with a brand new nylon locking nuts. But we do need to reuse these right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's take these off and put them into a new one. Also for this part, we're gonna use some sealing tape. I already loosened these up, so we're gonna start taking them off one by one. I don't want to take off all of them at the same time because I don't want to mix them up. Even though this one, and this one are the same, and this one's bigger, so you can't really mix them up. But that's how I do it. You guys can do it whatever way suits you. Whenever you're using sealing tape on these, you want to put it like this over the top and twist it like that. That way, whenever you thread them in, sealing tape is not gonna come off. And then we're just gonna start it off in this one. All right. All right, now that these are in place, I'm just gonna tighten them down. And don't worry which way this is facing, because you can turn it around any way you want. Okay, I think that's good enough. This one, and this one are 15 millimeter wrench, and on this big one I'm just gonna use a pair of pliers. All right, now that we have these on here, oh, one more thing, buddy, right here. I'm not gonna lose it. I'm not gonna use any sealing tape on this because I don't need to. Come on, buddy. Okay, that's good enough. And then you're gonna get one of these, just slide it over it like that, and you're good to go. Alrighty, let's put this one on. Just like that. This line goes on the bottom. This one goes forward, just so you know. Put it through here. And like I said, we got a brand new locking nylon nuts. We're gonna put these on here. Alright, so run these down, but do not tighten them all the way. So do not tighten these down all the way. Tighten the top one a little bit more than the bottom one, because you're gonna need to move this around like that to adjust the ride height. Alright, so now what we're gonna do, we're gonna look at our picture, turn these fittings the way that they were in the picture, and then put all of these airlines back in the way that they are supposed to go in. So it looks like this one over here is going to be number 1 that I marked. This one over here is pretty obvious because it's the thickest one. Push in and then just pull out to lock it in place. Then this one right here is going to be marked at number 4 on mine. You might write your numbers different way. And then, no, actually number 3. It's going to be marked number 3. And the one on the bottom is marked as number 4. But the one on the bottom is pretty obvious too where it's going, because it comes out of airbag and right into a leveling valve right here. So let's go turn our truck on, get some air in, and we're gonna start adjusting this ride height. All right, so now let's go ahead and put this rod into the arm. Whoa. Hold up, wait a minute. Okay, good. Good. All right, I'm gonna attempt to explain to you guys how to adjust your air ride height after you have installed your new leveling valve. So basically, you wanna find out what the center line of this axle is from the ground. Because on mine, from this center line to the bottom of this frame rail, it needs to be 8.75 inches. Your truck may be different because it may have a different kind of suspension on it. So first thing you're gonna need to do is find out what suspension you have on your truck. It can be air track suspension, which is going to be, you're gonna need to be 11.38 inches from here to the bottom of the frame rail. Flex air and low air leaf, I have a low air leaf. It needs to be 8.75 inches from the center line of that axle to the bottom of the frame rail. And then low air leaf, you need to be 6.75 inches from the center of this axle to the bottom of the frame rail. And basically, after you get this measurement, you want to measure right here, right there, in front of this rear axle. You want to measure right here from the bottom of the ground to the center, to the bottom of the frame rail. Okay, I already measured mine. So what you want to do is measure from the ground to the bottom of this level and valve, or you might be using 2x4 or whatever. Whatever works for you, my friend. So mine is 40 inches and 3/4. Then you're gonna take that number and divide it in two. Mine is 20.37 inches. And then you're gonna take that number, 20.37 inches, and add the air ride height spec. It depends what suspension you have. I'm gonna add 8 inches and 3/4 to that number, and it's gonna come out to be 29 inches 0.125. But like I said, your number may be different than mine, because air track suspension is 11.3 inches from the center line of the axle to the bottom of the frame rail, and low air leaf is 6 inches and 3/4 from the center line of axle right here to the bottom of your frame rail. Flex air and low air leaf are 8.75 inches from the center line of axle to the bottom of the frame rail. So kind of like that. I'm not sure if that's readable or not, but basically you want to have your tire height that's from the ground to the bottom of this leveling valve, then divide that by 2. Air ride height, what your number is supposed to be. Like I said, mine is 8.75 inches. Yours might be different. And then bottom of the frame rail, that is the number from the ground up to the frame rail. That's why you want to be at right here. This number is where you want to be, from the ground to the bottom of your frame rail. So basically, where I need to be at from the ground to the bottom of my frame rail is 29 inches and 1/8. So let's measure that and see if that is where I am, which I don't think I am. So right now I am at 29 and about 3/4. So we need to get this down a little bit. Okay, so after you got all your measurements and you have measured from the ground to the bottom of your frame rail, now if you are off, you want to adjust your leveling valve. The way to adjust this one is push it down to raise the airbags up. Push this piece down to raise the airbags up. Lift it up like that to drop the airbags. Again, you want to make sure you are parked on level ground, and you want to make sure that your brakes are released. So move your leveling valve up and down until you get it within the spec. I am very close to 29 inches and 1/8 where I'm supposed to be at. So I am just gonna leave it at that. So after you get everything in spec, just go ahead and tighten these down slowly, but make sure you tighten it down firmly so that it does not move. And that should be it. I'm gonna go ahead, test drive it, and hopefully the ride quality has improved a lot, but we'll see. Alrighty, let's go test drive this bad boy and see how it does. First I'm gonna test drive it bobtail, then I'm gonna come back, hook up to a trailer and test it out with the trailer, see how it does. Alrighty, so I drove it about 5 miles and it feels okay with the bobtail. But now I'm gonna go ahead and connect to a trailer and see how it feels with the trailer. For some reason I have a feeling like the bouncy ride and shit might be due to a trailer, but I guess we'll see here in a little bit once I get hooked up to it. Alrighty, let's hook up to this trailer now and test it out, see how it does with the trailer. Alrighty, we got our trailer hooked up, and so far so good, thank God. On my last run that I was doing from Atlanta to O'Fallon, Missouri, it was very freaking bad. Every little curve, it felt like the truck wanted to roll over. It was very, very scary, very unstable. But right now, it is freaking perfect, man. I'm doing 70 miles an hour, and even in the curve, it is stable as Peterbilt should be stable. And it is not bouncing. I mean, it's still bouncing a little bit because there's, of course it's gonna bounce, but everything bounces on the potholes, but not nearly as much as it did before. I mean, it's perfect right now. Thank God, buddy. All right, so looks like another successful repair, thank God. Truck finally rides like the Peterbilt is supposed to ride. Because recently I replaced the shocks on it and it was riding very good. But then, like I said, this very last load that I did, something happened and it just stopped riding like that. It started riding very, very scary, man. Like I said, in curves, I almost felt like I was gonna roll over or something, so I had to take it really freaking easy. But yeah, I test drove it bobtail and test drove it with trailer, and it is perfect, thank God, right now. So there you go, guys. That's how you do this stuff. If you have any suggestions on how I should have done it a little bit differently, put that down in the comments so that other people can see. Maybe you can help somebody out. And I appreciate you guys watching. You guys stay safe out there and take care of each other.